Welcome everyone to another episode of Retro Wrestling Reviews. Fredo Esparza here, and this week we look back at Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling's December 12th, 1981 show. Before we get to the review, be sure to click that subscribe button. We'll have more wrestling show reviews as well as the Lucha World podcast and other content available on this channel. This episode of Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling was taped on December 3rd, 1981 at the WPCQ TV studios in Charlotte, North Carolina. It aired on December 12th, 1981, according to the WWE Network. Bob Caudle and David Crockett are on commentary. At the very beginning of the show, Sergeant Slaughter and Private Jim Nelson joined Bob Caudle for an interview. Sergeant Slaughter says that he heard a lot of wrestlers say they can break out of the Cobra Clutch hold. So he's brought out $1,000 and wants any wrestler who thinks they can break out of the hold to come up and take on that challenge. He hands the money over to David Crockett. He warns David Crockett not to put it into his bank account. He challenges the Mulligans, Steamboat, Jake the Snake Roberts, Jay Youngblood, or anyone else to do the challenge. Slaughter says he's been a U.S. heavyweight champion for 3 months and plans on keeping the title for a lot longer. Sergeant Slaughter then tells Bob Caudle he has a few words for his private. He asks Private Jim Nelson if he's ready to go into combat, which Nelson replies with a yes. Slaughter then tells him to do push-ups, and Nelson does them. He wants all the maggots to show some respect. The first match on the show is Ricky Steamboat beating Charlie Fulton with a surfboard submission hold. This was a good TV match with Fulton getting in some offense, but Steamboat able to cut him at the right time every time he looked to be in trouble. Sandy Scott was also on commentary, and they kept talking about the $1,000 Cobra Clutch challenge. Match was actually pretty short, which was the theme of this show, where all the matches were kept pretty short. The Russian Bear Ivan Koloff then beat Jim Gray to retain the NWA television title. Every time the TV champion wrestles on TV back then, the title would be on the line, even if it was enhancement talent or what we refer to as a jobber. So the title would be defended, and Koloff successfully defended it. He landed a knee drop off the top rope to get the win. Koloff dominated most of the match and even gave Gray a bloody nose. After that match, what followed were promos from Gene Anderson, who's accompanied by the Ninja and Roddy Piper for the February 1982 shows in Virginia. Piper's promo was about a match against Steamboat on February 16th, 1982. Piper was great in this promo. Bob Caudle and David Crockett mentioned that Ole Anderson and Roddy Piper said that Ray Stevens is not to be trusted. They show a video that proves the opposite. It starts off with a match between Ricky Steamboat and Mike Prater. Roddy Piper shows up ringside. Ricky Steamboat asks referee Sonny Fargo what Piper's doing there. Steamboat yells at Piper as he's wrestling. Piper gets closer to the ring as the match continues on. Fans warn Piper to not touch Steamboat. Steamboat looks over at Piper and tells him he's going to show him what he wants to do to him. He chops Prater and follows with a top rope chop at Prater. He covers Prater for the pin, and Piper charges into the ring. Piper and Steamboat brawl. Ole Anderson runs out and attacks Ricky Steamboat. Piper and Anderson double team Steamboat until Ray Stevens runs in and helps Steamboat out. That's then followed by the third match on the show, which is Ray Stevens beating Mike Prater with a pile driver, which was a very short match. That was then followed by a great interview with Ray the Crippler Stevens. Ray Stevens joins Bob Caudle for this interview. Stevens is still holding on to one half of the NWA World Tag Team title belts. He knows some wrestlers don't like him because of the way he wrestles, and he admits he prefers to kick someone when he's down because it's easier than when he's standing up. He also enjoys hurting people, which is why he's been a winner all his life. He says his word is his bond. He says it doesn't matter who he teams with. If he gives his word, he'll be in their corner. He mentions how Ole Anderson has sacrificed his tag team partners in the past and says he's done it twice with his brother Gene Anderson, and Stevens tells everyone to look at Gene now and motions that he twitches a lot. He says Ole caused that to happen to his brother Gene. He tells Ole that if he wants his gold, come and get it. That's then followed by Jimmy Valiant beating Mike Miller after an elbow drop. Handsome Jimmy's always bouncy in his matches. He's having a good time and fans really enjoy it. Another short match. We then go to some more promos as Johnny Weaver and Ricky Steamboat cut promos for the February 16th show in Marion, Virginia. Ricky Steamboat cuts a great promo on Roddy Piper and even impersonates him for a bit. Finally, we get to the main event on the show, which is Sergeant Slaughter and Private Jim Nelson beating Larry Hamilton and Tony Anthony, with Sergeant Slaughter getting the win over Anthony with a Cobra Clutch. Slaughter left the match briefly to tell Caudle and Crockett that Nelson can handle the tag team match on his own, and he wants to talk about the $1,000 Cobra Clutch challenge. Jay Youngblood shows up. While this is going on, Hamilton and Anthony are beating on Nelson. He tells Slaughter that they have time after the match and they could do it after. Slaughter tells Youngblood that there are a few other guys ahead of him, and he walks off into the ring. He heads over to his corner. Anthony gets a near fall on Nelson. Youngblood tells the announcers that he's going to stay and wait for this match to come to an end. Nelson finally tags in Slaughter, who elbows Anthony. With Slaughter back in the match, he and Nelson start to take over the match and eventually get the win, with Slaughter using the Cobra Clutch on Anthony and Nelson beating on Hamilton to close out this match. After the match, Jay Youngblood tells Sergeant Slaughter that they could climb into the ring and do the Cobra Clutch challenge. Slaughter asks Youngblood why he's challenging him after he had a match. Youngblood tells Slaughter the last time they tried this, he broke out of the hold from Nelson. Sergeant Slaughter tells the Youngblood that he had his chance and suggests Mike Davis or Mike Miller get their chance. Slaughter repeats that he doesn't have to do it and he's tired. Sandy Scott then comes out and tells Sergeant Slaughter that he put up the challenge and has to do it against Jay Youngblood. Slaughter screams at Scott and tells him that he can be stripped of everything. They both get in the ring. Ole Anderson shows up. Slaughter wants Youngblood to sit down so he could put him in the hold. Ole is upset at Sandy Scott. Slaughter backs away from putting on the hold a few times. Ole Anderson then mentions there is no more time left on the show. Sergeant Slaughter then heads to the announcer's area and also says there is no more time and tells Youngblood that maybe next time they can do this at the start of the show. Bob Caudle tells Slaughter he wasted a lot of time. The closing credits are shown as the show comes to an end. This was a good episode. A lot of focus was on building up rivalries, including Ricky Steamboat versus Roddy Piper, Ray Stevens versus Ole Anderson, and Sergeant Slaughter versus Jay Youngblood. Some good promos and interviews throughout, with matches kept very short. Best match on the show was probably the Steamboat versus Fulton match. Closing segment was great with the Sergeant Slaughter versus Jay Youngblood confrontation. The tag match, of course, Youngblood and Slaughter's post-match discussion about whether or not he would take on the 1000 Cobra Clutch challenge, them trying to do it, and then you have everybody, the heels pretty much saying that the TV time was coming to an end. So that's how they got out of that whole situation, which I thought was pretty great. Slaughter was on fire in 1981, so I thought he did really well. Youngblood was a great foil for his whole challenge thing. And as we see later on, Slaughter has a few other guys that get involved in this Cobra Clutch challenge. I think it kind of just like went away after a couple of weeks. No real I think it led to a feud, but it pretty much Slaughter didn't come back to it afterwards. So that was one of the, but like I said, this is a good episode. Definitely check it out. The promos were great. I think that was the highlight of the entire thing. The promos, the interviews, and the confrontation. The matches themselves were like I said, kept pretty short. Not much to them. That's it for this review. Be sure to subscribe to the Retro Wrestling YouTube channel, and we'll be back again soon with more reviews.